What's up, guys? My name's Zach, and I'm gonna react to the Clash because I kinda have to now. I mean, I wasn't planning on reacting just to the Clash. I was planning on reacting to the Speedweeks as a whole after the Daytona 500 because I didn't figure there was gonna be anything specific to talk about in the Clash. I just figured it was gonna be like an average short plate track race, and there wasn't going to be that much to talk about because it's not a points race, so there's no real implications for anything coming out of this race. But that was not how the Clash worked out, so I'm gonna be reacting to it now. I've had a whole day. I'm recording this the next day. I've had some time to think about it, get any anger that I may or may not have had out. You're probably not gonna like that because don't worry, I'll be raging at something. And let's react to the Clash. So, first thing. Oh my god, those first 50 laps were such a drag. Oh my god. It looked like this picture. That's why I chose this picture, because this is what the first 50 laps of the race looked like. Paul Menard leading a train of cars around the outside. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? It had nothing to do with the aero package. It had absolutely nothing to do with the cars being completely out of control. You know what it had to do with? Team Penske lining up behind Menard and dumping out of line anyone who tried to make a move on them. It was ridiculous. I don't think this had anything to do with the aero package that they brought here, because guess what happened when they separated the Team Penske cars? It became a good race. No, it was just the Team Penske cars got out front, and then they left out to dry anyone between them and Paul Menard. And then once they did, it was just 4 cars dragging everyone to the top. So, I don't... Yeah, was it good that these cars really don't handle that well? No, it's not good that the cars don't handle well enough for drivers to feel absolutely comfortable making moves. But it's not entirely the package's fault. The race was perfectly choreographed by the Team Penske drivers, who somehow all ended up near the front and just controlled the race. They controlled the tempo. They controlled where everyone else went. And as soon as the Team Penske cars got separated, as soon as Keselowski and Logano were in the back, it became a race. Ooh, would you look at that? Okay, so there's that. So, am I excited for the Daytona? Am I more or less excited from the Daytona 500 now? Less excited, because I am worried that there is going to be something similar going on with Hendrick. That Hendrick Motorsports is probably going to do something similar in the Daytona 500. And it's going to be 200 laps of this shit instead of just 75. It was like... It's just because they have all 4 cars. And I'll get into Daytona 500 qualifying a little later. But they have all 4 of their cars in first, second, third, and fourth. So I'm worried they're just gonna do what Stewart-Haas did, choreograph all the starts, and then just break away, maybe drag the Team Penske cars along with them. So that's my concern there. Okay, so now let's move on to Daytona 500 qualifying, aka a very, very good sign for Hendrick Motorsports, because they were a couple of tenths of seconds faster than everybody else in qualifying. Like, the Team Penske cars were 5th, 6th, and 15th, I believe. So Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski were the 2 fastest cars after after the Hendrick cars, and usually these cars are like a couple hundredths apart when they qualify. But the 4 Hendrick cars were 0.3 faster than the Penske cars. So it looks to me like Hendrick Motorsports has figured something out in regards to this. In regards to what they have for the Daytona 500, because 0.3 of a second faster at a plate track, that is significant. That's really, really good. Could they have focused on the qualifying setup? Maybe, but is the qualifying setup really that much different from the racing setup? Yeah, there's more tape on the grill so that the car will run a little fast, so that the car doesn't hit as much drag and runs a little faster. But Hendrick Motorsports can't have put that much more tape on the cars. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding how the qualifying works. But it looks to me like Hendrick Motorsports has way faster cars than everyone else. And I was kind of shocked by that. I did not think that Hendrick Motorsports would have... I knew that... everyone coming in, everyone knows that Hendrick's going to have really fast cars. That's what always happens. The 88 car always leads a bunch of laps, whether it's Junior or it's Bowman now. The 9 of Chase Elliott runs up front until he wrecks. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson usually runs up front unless he wrecks. The 24 car is always really good. So you always expect Hendrick to be a force at the Daytona 500. But you don't expect him to show up the field by 0.3 in qualifying. 0.3, that's not... On another track, if that was like Texas, yeah, it would be pretty interesting when we wouldn't bat an eye, because that's not out of the ordinary for Texas to see a differential like that. It's way out of the ordinary at Daytona to see that, especially with 4 cars being that much faster. So yeah. All right, moving on to the Clash. Ash again. So the first 50 laps, boring, single file racing. You're seeing Bowman up front for a little bit until the Fords hung him out, and then he dropped to the back and really couldn't get back up front until the last 10 laps of the race. See, the last 10 laps of the race, which were laps 50 to 60, they didn't run the full 75 because of rain. Everyone knew the rain was coming. And that they had to make their move, and they had to make it now. So the Penske cars ended up getting shuffled back because they weren't aggressive. They were not going to make a move on Menard. So I think they got shuffled back on like pitch strategy or something. So they were not up front. So they were not. No. I got that. It was the first time I had it right. So the Penske cars got shuffled back because they weren't going to be that aggressive and try to move Menard, who's their proxy teammate. They weren't going to try to move him. They were going to try to stay lined up. But the field said enough of this, and they basically all bailed on the Penske cars. Johnson led a big train of cars that really just wanted to get by the Penske cars all the way up to Menard. And there was and the last 10 laps of the Clash were really good. It was really good racing. It wasn't a 3-wide spectacle, but cars are moving around a lot, changing positions basically every lap. It was good. It was good, exciting racing, which is what you want to see from the Clash. And you know what? This Clash, if it hadn't had that, if it just went straight and had periodic rain delays, I would have said that was one of the worst races I ever watched. But because it got good at the end, I'm going to forgive the Clash and say it was actually an okay race. Because it got good at the end. We started seeing exciting racing. We started seeing cars moving around, trying to make moves, changing lanes, changing positions, all the stuff that we expect to see at these big plate races that we that we saw from like 2015 to 2016 with those higher downforce packages, the stuff we like to see at our plate tracks, cars constantly moving around and changing spots. And then the last lap that they ran under green happened. Whew. All right, let's get started. Okay, so what we have here is that for the first 4 cars at this point are Paul Menard, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch. The Jimmy is under a lot of pressure right now because if Kurt makes a move on him, Kyle Busch is going to go with him. Kyle Busch is going to go with his brother. So Jimmy Johnson, perhaps more than anybody in the field, really needed to make a move. Because at this point in the race, everyone was too wide and couldn't get clear of anyone else behind Kyle Busch. So it really looked like Kurt was in the catbird seat to be able to do something because Jimmy Johnson was not going to help Paul Menard. It was clear that Jimmy Johnson, if Kurt got around him and got to Menard, Jimmy was not going to help him, and Menard was a sitting duck. So Jimmy Johnson knows that he has to stop Kurt from making a move, so he has to make his move first. So Johnson gets a huge run off of turn 2 on lap 59, and it's an enormous run, and he takes it. He knows the rain is coming. He knows that Kurt is going to get around him if he doesn't make a move. So he makes his move on Paul Menard, and he moves to very aggressively side draft Menard. And what ends up happening is Paul Menard knows that the rain is coming. He makes a late aggressive move to block Jimmy Johnson. What ends up happening is Jimmy clips the left rear quarter panel of Paul Menard. The 2 cars get together. Jimmy Johnson is pushed below the yellow line, and Paul Menard spins out in front of the field, collecting Kyle Busch and everyone behind him except Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Alex Bowman. So Bowman ends up starting up front, running in the back, and finishing up front. Well, that's a wild day for Bowman. So, but yeah, my boy Alex Bowman. I'm predicting that he will win 2 races this year, and from what I saw in the Clash, he's not going to disappoint me. Because if you saw this wreck, you would know it was an outstanding piece of driving by Bowman not to get collected in it. The track was completely blocked off. It was just, there was mangled sheet metal everywhere. He was right behind his teammate Chase Elliott. He had his nose on the bumper of his teammate Chase Elliott, who was involved in it, and he was able to slow it down, and get around it with basically no damage. So this is a really, really good sign if you're an Alex Bowman fan like me, because it shows that Alex Bowman it looks like Alex Bowman's taking a step up, because I'm pretty sure in 2018 he would have been involved in that crash. Bowman would not have been able to avoid that crash, in my opinion, in 2018. And in 2019, he did. So Bowman's not going to disappoint us. He's going to be much better in I'm feeling it. He's going to be much better in 2019 than he was in 2018. He'll pick up 10 top 5s this year, and hopefully he'll pick up a win or 2. That'll be awesome. I'll be so happy if I see that. I'll be really happy if he wins the Daytona 500, but I mean, let's not get too far carried away. All right, but the main story here is not Alex Bowman somehow avoiding this wreck. The main story is Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, who hadn't finished a Clash in 7 years, wins the Clash for the first time in his career. For the first time since, I believe, since a while back, actually. He hadn't finished since, I believe, 2008 in the Clash. And social media was kind of torn on the outcome of the race, because there were some people that felt like Jimmy Johnson was just being way too aggressive and made a huge mistake. And there were some people that felt that it was just a racing incident that had blame on both sides. For me, it's blame on both sides, but mostly for Jimmy Johnson. I mean, you look at the tape, yeah, Menard moves down, but Jimmy Johnson moves up way more than Menard moves down. It's as simple as that. Jimmy Johnson moved up into Menard. So, but it's a racing incident. The rain's on the way. They know the rain's on the way. They're going for the win. Jimmy Johnson can't wait another lap to make the move because the rain is coming and Kurt Busch is coming. That he can't wait. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He either has to get really aggressive with Paul Menard, or he has to just sit back and let Kurt Busch get around him. Because he'd gotten away from Kurt Busch too. If he's let up and didn't try something to pass Menard and got stalled out, Kurt was gonna fly past him and Menard. So that's my opinion on that. So now the last little bit I'm gonna do is what does this mean for the Daytona 500 this pack? What we saw in the Clash. I honestly don't think it means much. Well, I mean, it means something, because the Daytona 500 is going to be run under very similar circumstances. But the thing is, this is a 20-car field being pulled by 4 cars, and this Sunday we're going to see 40 cars, and we're going to see 4 cars try to pull 40 cars. I don't think that Stewart Haas, probably not Stewart Haas because they sucked in qualifying, or Penske is going to be able to control the field the way that Penske did in the Clash, because it's too big. There's too many cars. Penske was able to control this Clash the way they were because there was only 20 cars. There was not enough cars really to make a run around Penske, unless every single car decided to back out, because there weren't enough guys to draft with. In the Daytona 500, there's going to be way more than enough guys to draft with. So I think that the Daytona 500 is going to be much better than the Clash. Is it going to be a great race? Probably not. But it's going to be a better race than the Clash, just because there's more cars on the track. And thankfully, it's the last race of the 2018 package, which means at Talladega we can go back to the 3-wide spectacle that we're used to, and not let's just ride around the inside and hope nothing happens. Let's just ride around the inside for 186 laps and then maybe do something on the last 2. Let's just no. And by the way, the duels will probably be. And by the way, check out the duels. The duels will probably be really, really good. Go watch those duels. Alright. Oh wait, there's one more thing I want to talk about. There's some things that were said on Sunday. So first things first, William Byron and Chad Knaus were talking about winning the pole and what it meant for their strategy in the duels, and Chad Knaus joked that he'd park it in the garage if he could. He wouldn't even let William Byron race. And Byron said, "Yeah, we're thinking big picture here. We're not going to run this car too hard in the Daytona 500." What the hell, Byron? Jesus H. Christ. Byron, this is why you're not going to win a race this year. This is why you're going to miss the playoffs again in the 24 car. And you want to know why that is? Because you're just not trying hard enough. Like, you're not even gonna race in the duel? You're not gonna try to figure out what you have? And I heard his explanation that the duel is not really like the Daytona 500. I understand that. It's a night race versus a day race. It's a completely different situation. The track's cooler, visibility's probably a little bit different. The grip is higher, so you can move around much more. But still, I mean, come on, Byron. Aren't you a little bit inclined to try to race? This is not quite as stupid as when Bowman did it last year. When Bowman did it last year, it made absolutely no sense. You haven't plate raced in a year and a half. Why the flying hell are you not racing and learning? And that's one of the things that I feel like I'm going to be concerned about with Byron, is that he's not learning. He's not learning how to plate race. He needs to learn how to plate race. He needs to be running with these guys, and he needs to be running mid-pack in the danger zone, because that's where he's gonna be there a lot in his career. He needs to be able to work in that. And I think Chad Knaus is doing him a disservice by telling him to put the car in the back and ride. Plus, it's one less car that's actually racing in the duel. So that's not really. I'm not really a fan of that. And hopefully these duels are better than. So yeah, Bowman said he was gonna race, and then Jimmy Johnson is in full take no crap mode. He's like, I'll take whatever blame I took on me, but in the end, I did not intentionally wreck Menard. I did not intentionally wreck him. It's stupid to say that. And I was like, nice. Jimmy Johnson just got so cranky in the media center after the win. It was just like, yo. It was like, I think Jimmy Johnson actually was like, he was having some issues. He looked annoyed. And you know what? I don't blame him, because you look at his tweets celebrating his win, and like the first 50 rows are all tweets are like you didn't deserve that win. You wrecked it. You wrecked him. You didn't deserve it. And I'd be like, I wouldn't like that either. Okay, I'm gonna end this video right here. Be sure to like and subscribe always, and I'll see you next time.